team, and that's for real. Oh, you said something? When they kick off, he gon' kneel. I don't wanna hear nothing if it ain't about the bills. We'll be running out the tunnel, better stay up on your heels. We might leave your ankles on the field, put you on the rail. How you feel? Feel the watch the sweep just like a broom. Hail Mary, and put his GM in a tomb. Make some room, call it timeout, cause they not ready. Think they feeling all the pressure, cause they know I apply it heavy. Try to cover one-on-one, my cuss gon' be too deadly. Have him watching all that film while he snuggling on his teddy. Man, who let me step up in the game with a mindset of making sure I'm heard. I'm pointed tenant, it ain't time yet. When it is, I bet you know, don't fix your legs to come around me. If you acting all scary in the snow, oh, you said something? Tell your homie better chill. He don't ride how we ride for our team, and that's for real. Oh, you said something?
Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports contests and events with first market odds and lines, prime reviews, and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. Bet Online continues to be the top online resource for all sports information, from live in-game betting props and futures. Head to Bet Online today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Now, use our promo code BLEAV50 to receive your 50%. Welcome your bonus on your first deposit. Now, Bet Online is where the game starts.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Believe in Bills. I'm Justice General Radford, and of course, I'm with the legend as always. Oh, you dropping it. Legend in 2 games, no Pee-wee. All right. Coach, championship coach, Mookie Hawkins in the building. What's going on, Coach? How you feeling, man?
Man, thank God it is Friday. I'm up here fumbling stuff. I'm sitting up here watching Matt Judon go through some drills. He already looking like a receiver. Great move, great drills out here. Shout out to 300 though. But man, shout out to Brandon Beane and the Bills brass. These past couple of weeks, this roster has definitely has taken shape, and I know a lot of Bills fans have a lot of questions, and let's talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So as of course, Buffalo Bills have made some signings here over the last couple of days, and I think what was that, a Thursday? I think it was Black Thursday, where they had to let go of a lot of different people, and it was kind of like, wow, how does this team transition? Right? It looked a little bleak. You losing a lot of starters that were here since the inception of this current, iteration of the team. A lot of leaders, and you didn't really know if they would be able to replicate or, be able to replace that type of production. And of course, that is still, yet to be determined, but it certainly looks like he isn't doing a bad job. He's made a couple of signings originally. They had a pretty good draft to fill out the roster, 10 picks. And of course, now you get these 3 picks. And let's start with the linebacker, Deion Jones. You get a little bit more depth in that linebacker room. And what do you think that Deion Jones brings to this team, and what is his role going to be?
Well, I think he gives you the leadership role. He brings you another seasoned linebacker. Probably him and Matt Milano are probably now the only seasoned veteran guys, and you got Morrow probably coming in third behind that. But other than that, this is still a young linebacking room. When you look at Terrell Bernard, you look at Dorian Williams, and my guy Eddie, they just picked up. You got Spector, so relatively this is a real young, linebacking core. Bringing a guy in, Deion Jones, 9-year veteran, know a lot of tendencies in the league. It's definitely a better insurance policy than having to call AJ Klein out the RV. So this was definitely a solid pick, a quality depth piece that's going to make this something quite competitive. Or is that more or less saying we're going to take our time with Matt Milano and bring in a more seasoned guy that could still hold things down to when Matt Milano, they feel that he's completely healthy and confident to go out there, because look at what happened with the Von Miller situation, bringing him back too early.
I
You
was
didn't get
just
no
about to say that.
protection from him, so this is probably the Bills saying, hey, let's not put the cart before the horse here, and it is what it is dealing with this type of injury. Let's just go through a thorough process. I don't know, but to bring a guy in that we all know that easily can be a starter. He's not washed by any means. He's not a guy that they just bring in to add on to the roster. They're bringing a quality guy that can produce. I mean, and obviously you see the production, 13, 15 interceptions, but 5, 6 of those back to the crib where he lived. So to get that in a 9-year veteran, especially come playoff time, that's, when those guys are really at value.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to mention that you look at the Von Miller situation, you bring in Leonard Floyd as kind of like to hedge a little bit on that Von Miller thing, to bring in a talented guy who could thrive in your defense, but you aren't expecting to be the star of your defense. It just so happened that he played like one of the stars of our defense last year, which was fortunate for us because he definitely made major contributions to the defense, and he came through. So if Deion Jones is able to produce at the level or at least the impact that Leonard Floyd was last year, then that could end up being another really good low cost quality signing for Brandon Beane here, while your star linebacker comes, gets back up to snuff. And what seemed like a horrible thing last year because you lose him for the majority of the year now looks like, okay, well, at least, he was lost early in the year. So his recovery time may be a little bit better. He may not be out for too long this season. But obviously you do need to make sure he's okay, because you brought back Von Miller. And of course, Von Miller is a lot, longer in the tooth, but you brought him back probably too soon. And he was there was no impact almost, you know what I mean? So, you don't want to see that from two of your stars, defensive players who are taking up a lion's share of your salary cap on the defense. You know what I mean? So you gotta play this one right. And I think that again in this Sean McDermott defense, the linebackers and the defensive backs specifically, they all have rules. They all have like where you need to be on this play for this play to be successful, or what we want to see out of you guys. And for the most part, though, the rules that Sean McDermott lays out for his defense is picture perfect on paper, and then it takes players to go make plays and make tackles and not miss tackle, things like that. So if the linebackers are able to play and tackle well, and Deion Jones really, really fast, he's able to get side to side. That's another thing that comes with a benefit to him. So if he's able to, he could thrive in his defense. So we'll see what's happening with that. And then of course we get probably the most polarizing signing so far. Wide receiver Chase Claypool obviously was a stud for Pittsburgh a couple seasons ago, and kind of fell off the face of the earth ever since. Was signed was traded to the Bears. Didn't do well there. Granted, he didn't have a quarterback, and then Miami took a waiver on him last year. Didn't really seem to do much. So what's your thoughts on having Chase Claypool into the locker room?
I think it was a great pickup. Definitely a steal. If they are able to really unlock his talents. I mean, Pittsburgh, they unlocked, they were able to unlock some things, but for some strange reason, it just didn't materialize the way it should. He ended up being traded. And even they didn't have, last year was really kind of washed with him. Him and Dwayne Haskins was quite close. So, and everybody know, Dwayne Haskins, who passed away over the course of last season down in Florida. So, that affected him a great deal. So I think his mind wasn't really solely on ball. So now we get a guy, I bet you they Bills probably got him dirt cheap. And, you know, again, he's 6'4", 238 pounds. You know, the days of the Smurfs is no more. All right. So just, hey, he's 6'4", 238. I don't have to say the measurables. He's still, you know, running 4.4. We get his stuff in shape. Still had that, what, that 42-inch vertical. Now inside the red zone, jump ball left, jump ball right.
Jump ball center.
Can't double both of those guys. And then
And the tight
furthermore,
ends.
down the field is going to be so much easier for Josh to see those big targets 30, 40 yards down the field, you know, rather trying to be a pinpoint accurate with somebody who's, you know, less than that. You know what I mean? So, and then, you know, again, guys with speed and bigger catch radius, let's have at it. And then, yeah, again, you do got that. Imagine what 12 personnel look like with Claypool, Coleman, Knox, and Kincaid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Running back, you move that around.
I think it's very evident the shift in philosophy that the not only the offense but the team in particular is taking this offseason, whereas to where they were mostly known as like a damn near all finesse team a couple years ago. It seems like they're trying to transition into like a smash mouth punch you in the face type of team. They fortified their offensive line last year and they finally got really good production out of them. So to have the continuity of bringing those guys back, and then you add the depth with the draft picks and the free agency pickups in the offseason here, I think that just, you know, makes the offensive line even better. You know, because iron sharpens iron, you bring in quality depth pieces to make the starters better, and, you know, even challenge them a little bit. You know, you look at McGovern, who did really, really well left guard last season, but then you draft who could be a stud center. He could be a steal at a draft. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to mess with that continuity. You can leave the left side as dominant as it was last year. If this guy is able to pick up and you know, take that starting position, excuse me. But it lends to what you said about Coleman and Chase Claypool. You immediately add an element of strength with those two signings. They're huge guys and they're super, super tall, right? And not only that, but they're actually quick. Whether or not you want to, you know, talk about Keon Coleman, he is pretty damn quick. You know, he's got some good wiggle. He was a punt returner, for goodness sake. Like, you know what I mean? He's not as stiff as people like to make him out to be. So you add an element of strength there. It feels almost like, all right, we're just going to beat you guys with bully ball, right? Or just athleticism, right? Mm-hmm. Keon Coleman, an athletic freak, right? Dalton Kincaid, a freak. Dawson Knox, for all intents and purposes, is athletically gifted. You know what I mean? That's why he was drafted so high out of Ole Miss. It's not because of what he did at Ole Miss. It's because of his measurables and what his potential could be. And I still think that he has a high upside in this offense and could, you know, produce some really, really big numbers for us. Because I really see Dalton Kincaid more so as an extension of the wide receivers, you know, and Dawson Knox is more so a traditional tight end than Dalton Kincaid. So I like where they're going with it. You got big bodies out there. This is, you know, we may not. And not only that, but they're fast too, right? But we're not going to make speed our entire identity, right? Because how often do you get to utilize your speed on the football field against professionals? So you got to utilize that strength and that size every single play. And it starts with that up front with the big boys. So, you know, if you can have that type of mentality all across the board, I think that lends to not only a better football team, but in clutch time, it's less dependent on like luck, right? Mm-hmm. Because if I'm just tougher than you, you're going to need to be lucky in order to win a lot of these football games. You know what I mean? So if you can mix that, you know, with great talent and a dangerous quarterback, then I think sky's the limit there.
Yeah, and just imagine what that does for your run game as well. When you let's just say 12 personnel again, or even 11 personnel, it doesn't even matter. When you have those big receivers out there on the outside on the perimeter with those two tight ends set up, 6'4", 215, 6'4", 235, you know, tight ends, they 250, 260. Dawson Knox, he runs a 4.5 flat, by the way. So that's your freakish ability in Dawson Knox. So just in the run game, to run behind that on the perimeter, and to have already continuity in your line, that lets you know the type of different thing you're going to see. A little bit more balance, with this Bills offense, and more play action based upon, that run balance that they're going to have. And Josh Allen be able again to see guys that's 6'4" or better downfield off play action. So it opens up an element of the game that they didn't really get a chance to exploit. They'll get that opportunity this year, and now you have more threats inside the red zone when you do get there.
There you go. Absolutely. So just to take a quick look at the current roster for the Buffalo Bills at the wide receiver position, you got Brian Thompson, Justin Shorter, Tyrell Shavers. Justin Shorter is a guy who a lot of people think could, potentially get some playing time this year. Good size, was the number one high school player coming out, his year, and didn't necessarily have the best college career, but still has tremendous upside and athletic ability. Tyrell Shavers, Khalil Shakir, who obviously, I wouldn't say broke out last year, but he showed signs of a potential breakout coming up. Curtis Samuel, who obviously is a dynamic wide receiver, and he may seem to have limitations, and I'm not saying that he doesn't, but I think that the fact that he's not played with a quarterback who's even in the stratosphere of Josh Allen, says a lot. You know what I mean? I think that he will get a lot more opportunities this year to show what he really can do.
It's just like a crazy situation that the Bills have. Imagine the Bills going empty. Kincaid, Claypool, Coleman, Samuels, and Shakur. Or, you can put Shorter out there. Everybody's 6'4" or better.
You could put James Cook out there.
Yeah, you can put him there and run underneath. Somebody got to run under. And that's your speed guy. Should run after the catch guy. But to have so many options that Josh is going to be easy to see and find because of the big catch radius, because of the height, because there are ways to attack the football. Everybody want to bank on the separation. Listen, let me tell you about separation. When I'm 6'4" and I have a catch radius of 7 feet, and the guy that's checking me is 5'11" and have a catch radius of 6'4", that's all the separation I need right there. Just throw the ball up. The catch radius is going to outweigh the laws of physics always sets in. It just goes back to that Justin Jefferson catch, right? The law of physics defined. He's clearly taller than Cam Lewis in that regard, but then when it all got even, Steven, when it come down on the ground, he had more leverage because he was taller, and that overpowered, him being 6'1", 6'2", overpowered Cam being 5'9".
Yeah, absolutely. What you spoke to, it absolutely makes sense, and it also speaks to what I was talking about with the change in philosophy. Before, it was kind of like the Cole Beasley approach, right? Get open, I get you the ball, you damn near fall down, and that is the yardage we gain for that play, right? Diggs could definitely break a tackle. Don't get me wrong, he could get yak for sure. But there was a lot of times where he kind of just dug down and took what he got, which is fair because we didn't want him getting injured. I certainly wasn't mad at it. But when you look at what the roster is now, you got Kincaid, who is rarely ever tackled by the first man. Keon Coleman's going to break a lot of tackles. Chase Claypool, if he's able to his upside, he's going to break a lot of tackles. Shakir, he's going to make men miss, right? James Cook, Ray Davis, he was one of the top pass catching running backs in the country last year.
Mouse.
Dawson, like the philosophy just of these guys who can catch the ball, whether it's short yardage, middle of the field, or even deep ball, and they could make a man miss, and they could continue on with the yards after the catch. And I think that they got a lot of guys who specialize in that because, Josh can't do it all on his own. You know what I mean? He's going to have to depend on his teammates like any great master of any team related, sport or activity. You got to depend on your teammates to some degree. MJ didn't go out there and win all those championships by himself. You know what I mean? I think having those teammates be able to produce at a high level, it makes the deadliness of Superman Josh Allen even more brutal. Because if Josh Allen has to be Superman as the game plan, it can be brutal as hell. But like, you kind of know it's coming, right? You just got to do your best to defend it. And sometimes you could get lucky. But if you don't know what to expect, you don't know who he's going to go to. And then you also is like, oh, in the back of my head, he could stiff arm my defensive tackle, run past my defensive end, make it seem like he's about to run, but then launch the ball 50 yards downfield. You know what I mean? Like it's so many is the element of just unpredictability with the offense in this way.
And that's going to be driving defensive coordinators crazy because, in years past, they have had and are kind of like a pulse of what the Bills like to do, right? Now with Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis is gone, they don't really have a clue on who's really going to be the clear-cut number one, how who's going to be the go-to guy. You don't know. So you have to get all of that stuff all on film again. And, you start to see come week 5, week 6, how tough these games are going to be. Are they, being are they more creative in their play design to make the necessary adjustments to counter what people are going to do against them? That's that's when you really start seeing the coaching come out. Week 5, week 6, if this team is still consistent at what they do, and teams got book on them still, then yeah, that'll let you know a lot. But that's the whole mysterious part about it, is that last year's tape, it's no good. So they got to wait and see what this new look is going to look like with all these new pieces that Josh has around him. And, there's no tape on that. So the Bills will definitely have a jump on the competition once they figure out who's going to make the roster. But the core pieces is giving you an idea on what this is going to look like. You bringing in athletic pieces with your quarterback. These guys are playmakers too. So that, you got to give the Bills front office, the brass, man, a pat on the back, a drink at the bar, because I think they really nailed this draft on getting playmakers at the pick of where they needed to get the player of that position. So, man, I like it. Especially on the offensive side, you go get the playmaker in Coleman, you get the playmaker in Davis there. You go get the playmaking center, right? You get a playmaking center,
defensive end.
Yeah, playmaking defense.
That boy, he might be the biggest steal of the draft. Honestly, that boy make plays.
You get a playmaking nickelback that can return punts.
Yeah.
And you got this specimen, you got this athletic tackle that played quarterback and tight end. And then you got this UK rugby player with thighs out of this world, Paul. So, man, they got a playmaker every pick. Cole Bishop, and he's going to be coming downhill smacking things. So, they got a playmaker at every pick. No pick this year was questionable. Like, even the kid from Washington, he's the smartest out of the bunch. So that's a trait in itself. All right.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is with him. That's a great pick, and that's going to make dividends down the line.
That's a locker room presence. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the new Tyrell Dodson for now. And then when it's his time to shine, he's going to shine. So you see what's happening with T-Dot out in Seattle. He got a little bag now. Then he's on his schedule.
Hey, shout out to my boy T-Dot. Hey, absolutely. Yeah, get your money, brother. I ain't mad at you.
Yeah.
And with the draft picks, I feel like one thing Brandon Beane loves to do is he loves to find a super talented kid that has ridiculous measurables. You know, his RAS score is going to be like a 92 or something. You know what I mean? Like crazy relative athletic score. And then that usually turns into like, look, Josh Allen, crazy RAS score, superstar, right? Ed Oliver eventually became a superstar. You know, Greg Rousseau, somewhat becoming a star, right? Tremaine Edmonds, hey, he got his money. He got paid, so he is at least a star.
He was
right?
balling like I think Chicago like led in takeaways or something like that. He was a big part of that.
So his philosophy in taking these uber talented players that have really high upside, you know, it seems to be working. You know, and you know, Sean McDermott and his guys are, you know, have been able to coach these guys up to make some plays. AJ Epinesa is another one. You know, it seems to be a consistent thing. You know, I think Kyer Elam is the only one who you could say hasn't worked out so far, and it's still early for him. You know what I mean? I haven't given up on Kyer Elam personally. I still think that he could be a force, you know, to be reckoned with in this defense one day. So yeah, man.
He make plays. He's made plays. He got some picks now, and you don't know
clutch picks too.
I mean, if everybody want to look at that Jacksonville game to judge him, then I don't know what they're looking at. You know what I mean? I don't really know what they're looking at.
I feel like that was so unfair to him. He got thrown into the fire.
So we ain't looking.
They got put on Calvin Ridley.
Kid ain't done nothing but made plays since he got in there. I mean, yeah, he had his time in adversity. He had his adverse moments. You know what I mean? But he had some penalties. But that's what you expect out of a young guy. But Chase Claypool. I thought that the Bills would probably draft Claypool coming out of college.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, Steelers stashing him up at pick 49. Remember the Bills, that's the Stephon Diggs trade. So they didn't have, you know, a pick that year, right? They didn't have a pick. Their pick was AJ Epinesa, 54.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so maybe that was the same year they took Gabe Davis in the 4th rounder. You know, so Gabe, you know, was in that draft as well. So, you know, again, he's 25. You know, Bills probably got him again for, you know, shorts. You know? Yeah, you know, if he thrives in the system, you don't think they're going to throw a few more dollars at him, extending for 3 more? You know? He fits the mold, and now he can grow with, you know, the younger receiver. They can build something for the next 3-4 years. You know what I mean? And then don't just to have that, you know. So just stay tuned on how that materializes. You know, it's really up to Chase Claypool to see, you know, if you want to be the best version of himself here, resurrect his career, and come out here and make plays, and the Bills can unlock those insane draft numbers, you know, that made everybody go back to the tape. But, you know, the Steelers wasn't able to, you know, to connect for some reason. You know, things kind of deteriorated and they just traded the guy. It's Chicago out of all places. I was like, y'all sent that man there to die. You know, so, you know, he had some tough moments, but hopefully coming to a place like this, which is a contender team, you know, will spark those juices up. And then, you know, again, we'll get a better version of Chase Claypool, you know, here with that. So if that becomes a hit, being struck because they're going to extend that guy. He's going to be around. He's going to make it to the next new stadium. He's going to make it.
And not only that, but he's going to be at a nice cost too, because even if he has a phenomenal season, he's not asking for no exorbitant amount of money, because you gotta go ahead and keep that consistent, right? Because Pittsburgh, he was a dog, or he looked like he was about to become a dog, right? And then obviously they go ahead and ship him off to Chicago. And like you said, you know, it kind of left him to die a little bit. And then he kind of signs with Miami midway through the season or something like that, I believe it was. So he never really got a chance to envelop himself into the offense and gain a role and find a spot for him in that offense. So to come in with the Bills in the offseason, you still got the mini camp, and then eventually training camp and everything that goes with that. So you got an opportunity to hook up with Josh Allen in the offseason and at camp and learn the offense, and you got a real opportunity to make a team. Like, this is damn near the perfect opportunity for Chase Claypool, right? You're young, you got uber gifts athletically, right? If you could get your mind right and put in the work and the effort, learn the playbook, get in tune with Josh Allen, you could become a superstar receiver in this particular offense, and resurrect your career. So this is a great opportunity for him to do that. So let's see what happens there.
Hey, with this move right here, right, it kind of makes me wonder, like, at some point, were the Bills thinking about drafting Johnny Wilson too?
Mm-hmm.
The same measure, but this dude's 6'7", 238. Claypool's 6'4", 238. That might be a question on record. I might have to ask about that one. I know, he was eyeing it because he was there. So, I mean, for the Bills to double dip at a guy, with the measurables of a Keon, we haven't had that luxury. Bills haven't had that luxury. So, the only thing I can say, hell, it's about time. It's about time. Give Josh bigger targets. It's easier for him to see down the field. I've been saying that. So I know Josh is going to be like, damn, we got some tall receivers now. I got some tall targets to throw to. So it's going to make him a better and more efficient, passer as well. So yeah, man, being still working. He's still working. You bring in the guy Deion Jones. You bring in Dewan Smoot. Another veteran presence off that edge. He's more balanced. He can stop the run there, and he can rush the passer as well. He kind of give you, I guess that's more or less the Shaq. Him and Hill is going to fight for that Shaq Lawson spot, I'm guessing. Solomon, he's definitely gonna get a spot. I think he earns a spot on this roster. I think he's too valuable to be on the practice squad. Somebody snatch him from the practice squad in a heartbeat. If he's on the Bills practice squad, somebody's gonna snatch that dude. So, I'm guessing that he's definitely gonna be in the rotation, but it makes it a competitive roster. Now, Bean has never been no slouch when it comes down to putting a roster for training camp. So, this is just let y'all know that he's not just bringing in anybody with these picks. Is getting a little lighter now, so you gotta bring some Reservoir Dogs in here to spice things up a little bit to see who really wanna be here, who wanna get a jersey. So it's gonna be pretty interesting. This training camp is gonna be interesting than as it's been in a long time, because you got so many different parts, and you want to see how can it all piece together.
All right, so like you mentioned, the third free agent signing was Dwayne Smoot, defensive end. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play a little game, right? We're going to do Mookie's projected linebackers, Mookie's projected wide receivers, and Mookie's projected defensive ends, right? From what we know right now, who is at the top of your list, who maybe potentially it doesn't make the roster, who could be on a practice squad. I want to know what your thought process is for what the roster looks like right now. So here, what I'll do is I will screen share because I have the roster up. All right, so like I said, we're going to do linebackers, defensive ends, wide receivers. All right, so we're going to start with defensive ends since we talked about Smoot last. All right, where's the defensive ends? They are down up here. Can y'all see my screen?
I can't see it, but the viewers probably could.
Why you can't see it?
All right, here we go.
All right, so defensive ends. We got Cameron Klein, AJ Epinesa, Kingsley Jonathan, Greg Rousseau, Dwayne Smoot, Casey Hill, and Javon Solomon.
Yeah, Javon Solomon.
Javon Solomon.
Okay, so look, this is what we got going on right now. You got defensive end, Russo, Ebenezer. You got Smoot, Von Miller. So you got veteran crop on the second take. Then you got Hill and Solomon. So then you got Kingsley, Jonathan, and Cameron Klein. Then obviously you got the guys from the undrafted free agents to make your roster. So how many defensive ends will the Bills keep? Russo's making it. That's why Epinez's making it. That's 2. Von Miller, he's locked in at 3. Right now, I'm gonna say Smoot 4, Solomon 5, and I'm gonna cap it right there. I'm gonna cap Solomon at 5. I don't think. I don't think Casey Toohill. He. Let's put him on the bubble for now. Let's just put him on the bubble for now, because now what you have interior wise, Daquan Jones, is 1, Ed Oliver 2, Carter 3, Johnston 4. Then you got Deshaun Williams, that's 5. So the Bills normally keep half and half. They keep 5 interiors and keep 5 edges. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm gonna say. Right now, Toohill is on that bubble, but the Bills could take 11. They could take 11. So yeah, let's just say for right now they take 10.
All right, so for our starters, we got Russo and Epinesa, and of course they do the rotation. So your second starters are going to be Smoot and Miller, and then you got Solomon playing like a cleanup, who he'll also probably be in the rotation to a degree, and then Toohill potentially a practice squad guy, Kingsley Jonathan another practice squad guy, and then of course Cameron Klein another potential practice squad guy. I'm assuming. All right, so next up, we're gonna move to linebackers. All right, so we got Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano. I'm not gonna count Von Miller. Nicholas Moreau, Balin Spector, Dorian Williams, Deion Jones, and I believe Edifwan Olufosio. I'm sorry.
Ulofosio.
Okay. All right. Ulofosio. All right. So what is our linebacking? Who's our starters?
Man,
right?
This is interesting right here. You got Terrell Bernard. Then you got Williams and Eddie. That's 4. You got Nicholas Morrow and Deion Jones and Spector here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Man, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got 7 solid guys right there. They definitely got 7 solid guys. Now let's say Matt Milano ain't ready to go. So he's on the PUP list.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put Milano on it right now because we don't know what's the deal on him. We putting him on the pup. So that opens up a spot. So I'm gonna say Bernard. Obviously, Dorian Williams, Eddie, that's 3. Deion Jones, 4.
Wait, who was 3?
The rookie. Eddie Ulufosio.
Oh, okay.
So you got those 3, which is the draft picks, so they're not going anywhere.
Right.
And that spot is really going to boil down between Nicholas Morrow and Deion Jones. They swapping out to really see who's gonna if Milano's going on a pup, then one of those 2 guys are going to be wearing the green dot. So whoever wins between them makes the roster.
You mean Spector and Moreau?
No, Spector. No, I'm gonna say Deion Jones and Moreau.
You got Jones at 4.
Spector's gonna make the squad, I believe, because he's in the system.
Special teams.
He's special teams guy. You know, so right now Spectre is definitely making it. I don't see the Bills going 6. They could go 6 if Milano again starts on the PUP. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with Milano on the PUP. You know what I mean? Other than that, that's why I say it's a toss-up between Jones and Morrow. Whoever, wins that battle, I'm figuring is the next one may be out. The next one may be out because let's just say the Bills are only going to keep 5 linebackers right now.
All right. So with Matt Milano obviously having a roster spot, however, he'll probably start off on the PUP or IR. We got Terrell Bernard at 1. We got Dorian Williams at 2. Eddie Olafosio at 3. We got Jones at 4 or 5, and we got Moreau at 5 or 4. All right. And Galen Spector, of course, makes the roster as a special teamer, potentially a backup linebacker there. All right.
DBs.
All right. No, we wide receivers.
Wide receivers.
All right. So we got Quintez Cephas, Chase Claypool, KJ Hamler, Matt Collins, Andy Isabella, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, Tyrell Shavers, Justin Shorter, Brian Thompson, and Keon Coleman.
Sheesh.
It's a lot of talent.
A lot of talent on that out there receiver room there. Well, we already know Coleman. We already know Shakur. We already know Samuel. That's the top 3. The next best 3 is Highland, Shorter, Claypool. I go right there. And then I'm going to say KJ Hamlet. KJ Hamlet can go is the next guy. Bills may keep 7. It may go 7 receivers right there. Cephas, Isabella, Shavers, may end up practice squad guys, or Lawrence Key, one of these undrafted free agent guys. It's gonna push those guys. Isabella, I mean, he's a long shot to make the roster because he can only make it during special teams. With the dynamic of the way you see the Bills are going at wide receiver, I mean, the top 6. I mean, out of the top 6 receivers, 4 of them are 6'4" and better. Other than that, you got Samuel and Shakur, who's dynamic in their own regard.
Yeah.
So you see the change right there. Then I say Hamler because, he's your speed guy that can blow the top of our defenses. So, if he can return to form, the Bills got some low bargain steals from, I guess, Macy's. And they done figured it out. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the roster looks fairly new, but I like the pieces that's on the board. Nothing gives me it doesn't look like a drop off. I can tell you that the way the roster is looking, it doesn't look like any drop offs anywhere. We have lost a lot. The Bills have lost a lot, but it's not a concern of any drop off or nowhere on this roster. Holes have been, filled, and now it's just all about cramming it, getting it together, and getting that symmetry and going out and performing at a high level with it. So, man, so far so good. So far so good. I say the Bills keep 7 receivers though. For now, 7 receivers.
Yes, it's certainly a lot less top heavy as opposed to before. Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis kind of getting the lion's share of the targets, and then everybody else kind of you just get in where you fit in. With this room, you're probably going to spread the ball out a little bit more, given that Keon Coleman isn't a freak and turns into just like one of the best wide receivers in the league, which he very well could, but I could see him probably getting about 75 targets this season. And also Quintez Cephas, I I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know his body, like I've seen his work, but I'm hearing a lot of people say that they really like him and that he could potentially, be caught, do some damage. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Do you want to get into defensive backs? Because we could definitely do that.
Yeah, we got to break the roster down. Right now, we have 22 bodies. So, we need, 31 more? How are we going to get to that number?
All right, let's do it then. All right, so we got cornerbacks. Christian Benford, my guy. So proud to see his success. Kyron Brown, Rasul Douglas, one of the best in-season trades in Bills history. Kyer Elam, who I still believe in. All right, still has a ton of upside. Jamarcus Ingram, who also has some upside. Teron Johnson, Cam Lewis. And then, of course, you got Kendall Williamson and Daquan Hardy. Daquan Hardy out of Penn State. All right. What is our cornerback room looking like, championship coach?
I'm going to say Benford, Elam, Rasul, Teron Johnson, Cam Lewis. So how many is that? 6?
That's 5.
That's 5?
Yep. Benford, Elam, Rasul, Johnson, Lewis.
Benford, Elam, Douglas, Johnson, Lewis. All right. And I'm going to say Hardy, 6.
Oh, because of special teams.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, you still got Jamarcus Ingram from out of UB, but I don't know. I'm hearing reports of this guy, Kenny H. Lovely, is somebody to watch, during rookie minicamp. So, he may push Jamarcus Ingram for that spot. Notice how the Bills really didn't go too ham in, that area, all right? Not even in free agency. Who's to say they still could bring in another guy like that? Maybe a Darnay Holmes who's still available. They could bring, that guy in, a guy that can play all 3 positions. So, never know. Jury's still out. There's still some roster spots left. But, if the season ended today, I would say, 6, Hardy makes the squad because I believe that he's going to be the punt returner on this team. Worst case scenario, he will make this team, like you said, Justice, because of special team. It's just too electric, not to make it to be the punt returner, And the Bills have many options to choose from. But, just looking at his tape, yeah, I can see that. I can see that on 4th down. So Bills got 6 DBs. All right, so 6 cornerbacks. We didn't even deal with the safety.
Yeah, we didn't do safeties yet, but speaking of getting to Hardy, especially when you consider that they're changing the kickoff rules this year, it's going to be a lot more electrifying, or at least that's the game plan behind what the NFL is doing. They're trying to, bring back the kick return, the excitement of it, because they kind of killed it with the rules. And which, I mean, you're trying to keep people safe, I understand. But yeah, you mentioned how they didn't go ham on cornerback. Rasul Douglas really kind of showed you that he can hold down that number 1 position. Benford showed you that he can be a hell of a starter as well. Elam still has tremendous upside, athletic ability. And Teron Johnson, obviously one of the best slots in the league. Cam Lewis, veteran in this defense, and then Hardy with the special team. So I think I agree with you there. Safeties, we got Mike Edwards, Damar Hamlin, Taylor Rapp, and of course Cole Bishop. Why are you blanking on his name? And of course Cole Bishop out of Utah. So
yeah, those 4 make it. Rapp will make it. Bishop, Edwards, and Hamlin will make the squad. So the Bills
are starters though.
Right now, I'm gonna say I'm gonna say right now Mike Edwards, because of his, hey, he's got 2 Super Bowl rings. So I'm gonna say Edwards and Rapp are your starters, and Cole Bishop is definitely in the rotation. He's out there. He's definitely gonna be the dime guy when he's definitely fitting that role. So he's gonna be out there because he's a guy that can play both positions. But if I'm just going right now for experience, it'd be Edwards and Rapp.
All right. So I personally I think Cole Bishop is about to come in and just absolutely take over the room. Personally, I think I personally think he's gonna come in training camp and solidify himself as a starter. I think by week 1 he'll have, I ain't gonna say he'll have the defense on his back, but I really do think that he's gonna be special in this defense with the just McDermott. Look, you could criticize McDermott all you want, and trust me, I criticize him just as much as anybody, and I feel like it's all warranted. But he can coach himself some defense, okay? And he will put safeties in the best possible position to be successful. And Cole Bishop is fast as hell. He has a good field awareness, and I think Sean McDermott can turn Cole Bishop into a superstar. And that's just me being honest. I think that shows up very, very, very quickly. And I think Cole Bishop is your akin to Jeremy Chin, as in just a guy who is, has good size, good speed, is going to hit somebody, but then it can also, I think you said it. He's like a mixture of Poyer and Hyde, right? Where he can, he can play that outfielder role, like Micah Hyde can, and then he can also run up and stick somebody like Jordan Poyer. So I really, really like Bishop, and I think he gets himself in that starting position.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
I believe that too. So you so let's just say the Bills are going to keep 10 linemen now. We want to get into names. They're definitely going to keep 10 linemen. Right now, you got Deion Dawkins, Edwards, McGovern, Torrance Brown. That's your starting 5. Then you have Ryan Vandermark, Alec Anderson, Van Pran Granger, Travis Clayton, and Lyle Collins.
That's some good names. I forgot we got Lyle Collins.
To back up those guys,
holy smokes. Okay, Brandon.
Line is Tommy Doyle, Kevin Jarvis, Will Clapp, Keaton Bills, and Tylen Grable. It's gonna be pretty interesting to see who makes this squad up front. The Bills are loaded.
They are.
They got 15 studs. Like Will Clapp is the 3rd string center right now. But we know he's a guy, he can play guard as well. Keaton Bills, gotta love the name, right? So everybody's rooting for Keaton. I'm guessing for sure that Keaton would definitely be a practice squad guy. Grable, was just brought in, 7th round pick from out of UCF. Definitely going to be a development project. But it's going to be tough. It's really going to be tough. Who's out of that 3rd unit could, take somebody's spot from the 2nd unit? Man, that's going to be the issue. They have the guy from UK on the 2nd unit already penciled in right now. You know what I mean? So that's going to be real interesting to see that right guard competition with that 2nd and 3rd unit. I want to see how that shakes out. Even with all the guards, from the left guards to the right guards, between those 2 units, that 2nd and 3rd unit. Not to mention, hell, the 1st unit, because who's to say that David Edwards and McGovern, all that is etched in stone? Maybe, the rookie, Van Pran, beats McGovern out of the center spot. And then what does with McGovern? McGovern, do you lose your spot, or do you go back to guard? Or does David Edwards is no slouch now, okay?
I think they keep that left side the way it is, because that was really a strong point for them last season. And I think that I'm hoping that the kid can take over the center position, because now if he can be a dog, now you got franchise left tackle, you got a very, very solid left guard, a potential rookie stud at center, right? You got a 2nd-year stud Osiris Torrance at guard, right? And then Spencer Brown, he played well last year, so hopefully he can keep that going. And if not, he got some competition to come in for his ass. So you know what I mean? So Leo Collins, all these other guys are gonna come in and definitely try to take his spot. So this will be another situation where iron sharpens iron. And not only that, but if you don't perform well, then there will be somebody to relieve you ASAP. Right. You know what I mean? So hey, Brandon Bean, Aaron Cromer, they've done some terrific work. And hey, the offensive line performed phenomenally last year. Aaron Cromer keeps up his reputation of fixing everything he comes across, and he gets a lot more talent to work with this season. All right, so how many tight ends do we keep? We probably keep 3, but is any of these guys, right? Zach Davidson, Trey McKitty, are they good enough to overtake Quentin Morris for that 3rd spot?
Trey McKitty is. I thought that the Bills would draft Trey McKitty coming out of college. He was another specimen. Started out at Florida State and then ended up at Georgia, playing tight end. So that's a guy that could supplant Morris. But again, Morris' familiarity with the scheme and this team will probably outweigh that. Now, in case of injury or whatever the case may be, you get a bona fide and McKitty. So, Bills definitely go with 3 tight ends because that's just a setup. And McKitty is going to be on the practice squad. So, I go with 3 tight ends there. So it's going to be pretty interesting to let's see here.
And the Bills, they probably aren't done. I can assure you they definitely aren't done at running back. They're not going to go into camp with 3 running backs. But right now, or 4 running backs, excuse me, they got James Cook, Darrington Evans, Ty Johnson, and of course the kid rookie Ray Davis, who they just drafted. And listen, people are penciling Ray Davis to be the running back 2 here. Darrington Evans and Ty Johnson are both a problem, okay? You're going to have to deal with them. So it'll be interesting to see what that competition looks like because they're both stud running backs who, are probably written off a little too quickly, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's only a 53-man roster, too.
Yeah.
Got to figure that one out. So let's see. 10, 15, 22, 20, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Yeah, some got to get knocked down. There's going to be a few linemen that's going to get cut. So it is only going to be 8 linemen and 6 receivers. So Hamlin doesn't make right now. Hamlin is off. Hamlin is on the practice squad. Hamler would be on the practice squad.
KJ Hamler or
KJ Hamler is going to be on the practice squad.
So taking in 6 wide receivers instead of 7.
Taking in 6 to 7, and we gotta downsize the lineman too. You gotta downsize the lineman. Got to take 2 off there. So right now I'm gonna say Alec Anderson.
You could sneak him on a practice squad.
And well, Clayton Travis, I think he's going to be the development piece. I don't think he's in the program, so he's locked in for 3 years. So,
he can count as a roster spot.
Yeah, his roster spot don't count. So, so you go Vandermark. You probably go those 2 again, Probably go those 2 again. Interesting. I know Tommy Doyle will make the roster, so yeah. So that's where I go. They go 8, and what's the name doesn't hurt you. So that's really like 7. But if they get him up to par, he can play right away. You know what I mean? If they get him up to par, he can play right away. So you got to have 4 running backs, obviously, Ty Johnson, Davis, Cook, and Gilliam. Them are your 4 running backs. 2 quarterbacks, Trubisky and Josh, right? So that's where you get your number from. All right, that's where you get your number from right there. So you cut back 3. So Bill's going to have 8 linemen, 6 wide receivers, potentially 6 DBs, 5 edgers, 5 interiors, 5 linebackers, 4 safeties, Kicker, punter. We all know who
So,
the kicker is. Punter. Don't be surprised.
I hold on real quick. I want to say, I think there should be some competition brought in for Tyler Bass. Look, just that kick aside, because that was atrocious. That was horrendous. That was embarrassing, right? But just that kick aside, Tyler Bass has not been what we thought he was. He has been extremely inconsistent over the last couple of years, and I kind of wrote it off in my head because it was like, oh, but I know he's uber talented. Maybe he's just going through a rough sled or whatever the case may be. But there's now been a couple of times where he just hasn't come through when we needed him, and sometimes it's been like one that you should make, especially that last one. That one was rough, right? So I think if nothing else,
on the curve, is like was splitting. Then that joint just curved wicked to the right, man. It should have just got closer. That should have just got closer.
I hear you, and I don't dispute that, but that wasn't a hard. I mean, of course, I'm speaking as a dude who sat on my couch to watch it, but
I hear you. He deserves some competition.
That's all I'm saying.
He definitely deserves some competition, but the competition is there because I'm telling you now, Browning, the punter, the UDFA punter from out of San Diego State, he replaces the punt god. But the thing about him is he did both. He was the punter and he was the kicker. So he brings that element, So that's
we got that dude.
Yeah, we got him. Yeah, we got Jake Brown.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, we got Jake Brown who could do both. Big question is, can he hold? Now, if he's able to hold, I think that he can be the punter.
He's so versatile.
Because he's versatile. It's now, Sam Martin coming off that hamstring under contract. You do got Matthew Mack, but
No, I'm at the same point I am with Tyler Bassett. I am with Sam Martin. It's like, first of all, I blame Sean McDermott 100% for taking Sam Martin into that game. Sam Martin was injured, and there was no reason they should have trusted that when you could have just got a fresh punter and not took that risk. But Sam Martin was a big reason we lost that game. Not a big reason. He was a reason we lost that game, though. And he kind of underperformed late in the season going up to that game. So I'm glad that we brought Matt Hack back in to be some competition and even the kid that you just mentioned. But I would like to see a new punter in uniform for the Buffalo Bills this season. And we'll see what happens with the kickers or whatever, but I would at least like to see some competition for Tyler Bass to let him know it ain't sweet.
All right, it's definitely competitive. This is definitely not letting everybody know that ain't putting no slouch, with this roster. It's not even September neither, so they still ain't finished. You never know who can get cut. That happens, and that happens too. So the Bills are going through the phase of OTAs, seeing who's who and what's what, how they performing, how they handling things. Is it up to par, or do we got to go look elsewhere to, give it that spark, that jump that the roster need to make everything work. So, a lot of evaluation, right now is happening. So, you got to evaluate the pieces that you have, and if they ain't adding up, you got ample time to get rid of them and bring the next guy in. So maybe you'll start seeing that. The Bills is getting kind of close to, their number as far as the roster goes. But still, so far, so good. We'll have to see.
Absolutely. All right. So that is the roster breakdown for the Bills. Way too early roster breakdown, obviously, right? Free agency isn't even done. And the Bills are still making moves, but hey, coach, you look at what Brandon Beane has done, and it is kind of akin to last season. That's why I wasn't really tripping when we, on Black Thursday when we ended up releasing all those people, because it was like that looked bad on paper, but at the same time, it was like it looked horrible on paper last offseason, and Brandon Beane made lemonade out of lemons. So, what's your current outlook on the roster right now, and what the Bills' expectations are or should be?
Well, it's just more or less again. This offense is going to look totally different. It's not going to be the same from last year. It's not going to have that type of look where, you know, Diggs is doing the comeback just to, the coverage and stuff like that, to loosen things up. No, you're not going to really see that. I think you're going to see a more balanced attack with the run, implemented with run action, and you're going to see some more home run hitting plays. Maybe you're going to see Josh Allen out of the pocket a little bit more on run action plays. You got that combination of Cook and Davis. How is that going to help your RPO? The Bills can run a real true RPO style, with the players that they have. So I say a lot of different variations and moving people around, like chess pieces to make plays, keep defenses on their heels. They definitely have the pieces to do that, but it's going to look much different than last year's team because more, again, balanced attacks. That means, Bill's going to be playing a little bit more physical football. You have bigger receivers who's going to help in the run game as blockers, so that's what you're going to see. The Bills is definitely going to, be some monsters of the midway and be able to hold their own in those type of situations because they got the pieces now. More athletic offense, I would say, than in years past, and that's what's needed with your athletic quarterback.
Absolutely. Exactly. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier when, I talk about how being able to get, your teammates involved. It's like, giving Kobe Powell and Andrew Bynum, right? It ain't all on Kobe no more. You know what I mean? Like Powell and Andrew Bynum might not be the most superstars of superstars, but you do this right and you could end up a Hall of Famer playing with Kobe. You know what I'm saying? So, you get them some help and, they win back-to-back championships, almost three-peat. And I feel like this is akin to that where, it's not just all on Josh and Diggs, right? Now you got a slew of players that can help, and that Keon Coleman isn't necessarily the superstar that he could become, or what I mean. Even if it takes some time to develop, whatever the case may be, you got other people. I agree with you, but I'm saying like the pressure is not immediately on him because you got all these other pieces that are able to be utilized. But okay. Yeah. All right. So we'll see what happens. But hey, kudos Brandon Beane. He does it every offseason. He really does. He makes it happen. And people who say that he's on the hot seat or he deserves to be fired, watch to see what the Bills do this year. I promise y'all, nothing's gonna change. Okay, still gonna be a winning team. Probably gonna win the division if I had to guess right now. Coach, you want to send us out?
Bills roster looking pretty great shape. Do you believe?
Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports contests and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Now, find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. Bet Online continues to be the top online resource for all sports information from live in-game betting props and futures. Head to Bet Online today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Now use our promo code BLEAV50 to receive your 50%. Welcome your bonus on your first deposit. Now Bet Online is where the game starts.